Disciplining children for the kingdom. Are you one of a kind that is wondering, what is this all about? This Friday is yours. Please take a seat and enjoy this sharing. And welcome to the Family Hour here at Church of Uganda Family TV. My beautiful name is Clare, the world's favorite host. Guess what? Today I bring to you an amazing couple. I know them in person. They are my besties. You know, a bestie of your bestie, stuff like that. Yes, I am very, very humbled and privileged to host them. We've been looking forward to a time such as this, and guess what? The Lord has done it. Today is our day. Today is my day. So please enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget that this show is in partnership with Life Ministry Uganda. You can check them out on the website or social media platforms. They will be happy to connect with you. Remember, this show comes to you every Monday to Friday under different themes, and today we are here under the theme of parenting. Join me, welcome this great couple, Mr. and Mrs. Sam Opolot. They come all the way from All Saints. I know they will tell us All Saints Chapel Reza, well represented in big capacities. Join me, welcome them. Happy to have you.
Thank you, Claire.
Who are we?
Yeah.
Who are we? Happy to have you on the show.
Yes. Thank you.
How are you doing?
Well, very well.
Yes, I can see. Please say hello to the viewer and then we'll start the show.
Thank you. My name is Samuel. It's Opolot is the other one. It's a wonderful pleasure to join you today as we reflect on this very, very important aspect of life, being a parent and what it means, how to discipline our children. Basically glad to be here and happy to share as the Lord allows and leads. Thank you. I'm here with my wife Alice. I'm sure she can very ably introduce herself.
Hello, we are happy to be here and we believe that the Lord is going to interact with us as we interact with you in this show. And we believe that even as we talk about parenting and how we love children and how we parent them, I believe that will be an inspiration to you. Yes, I'm a teacher by profession, but doing mission work. Thank you.
Wow, very happy to have you. How is marriage as our icebreaker? 19 years or 18?
Well, we make 18
wow.
in December this year.
Wow, congratulations.
On the 9th of December 2006.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. Mwebale kufumba. So how is parenting? We are here to talk about parenting. How is it? Do you have teenagers in the house? How is it going?
I'm sure we probably have, I don't know, we probably share perspectives or maybe have different perspectives. But we do have 2 teenage children.
Wow.
That are our biological children.
Wow.
But we also have other children in our household who are, one is a teenager, the other is getting into, she's 11 now, who live with us. So yes, we do have teenagers.
Oh, wow.
Our firstborn is, how old? 17. He's 17, he makes 18 in October. And our second born is 15, makes 16
wow.
in December. The first born is a young man named Timothy. The second born is a young lady called Cheryl.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. I know that the viewer, when they talk about parenting the teenagers, oh my God, we are all ears. How is it going, mother in the house?
I think parenting, I can't say that it's a very smooth road because we have 2 children. Timothy is 17 and Cheryl is 15 now. They all have different personalities. Timothy is more quiet, Cheryl is more vocal. She'll speak her mind, she'll do this and she'll do that. And allow me to say that for me, even as we talk about parenting, I take you back to the time I conceived Timothy. And what I want to say is that I was praying that God would give me a very hard-working girl, like who can work in the house and help me do it, because I love working. So now, close to the time I was now pregnant again, God gave me a message that to be a boy. And for sure, God spoke about the boy, and the boy is very hardworking.
Oh.
Actually, more than the girl, but the girl will just tell you, are you smart? Are you okay? For her, she works on my dress code. She will do my dress code very well. I appreciate her for that. But the boy will be aggressive. He can mop the house. He can prepare for you that food. And for me, that perspective, taking them on two different perspectives, is a very good thing as a parent to know. Because you could be expecting this girl to do this, and God has given you a boy who can do that, and the girl will organize anything happening at home. She's the one who makes all the calls. So it's good to grow up with all of them. And then Cinderella is a new girl we are adopting. Cinderella is 10 years. I do homeschool her. And Cinderella is a very vocal girl. She'll speak her mind out, and we love that. So it's both challenging, and it's a very good privilege. And I think even just to talk about that privilege, it takes me back to when in Ephesians 5:29, it says that even as you pick maybe from 27 about Christ loving the church, I think because Christ loved and cared for the church, I like that perspective that I love these children and I care for them. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you very much. And I love it when you say they are different, you know, and you appreciate that, because everyone has what they do best. So I really, really love that. So I'll pick it up from you, Uncle Sam. We are talking about disciplining children for the kingdom. So when we talk about that, what rings the bell?
Disciplining children. I think of discipline in different ways. Usually when we think of discipline, we're thinking about good manners, character, be a good person, you know, someone who lives within what is expected within our cultural norms. And indeed, that's discipline. But discipline, for me, goes beyond being moral, being upright. It goes into what habits makes you productive. It goes into issues of how do I use my time. It goes into how do I interact with my peers. So it's more than just you know, being a good child in terms of morals and character. It's also about being productive. It's about usage of time. It's about prioritizing what's appropriate to do, what's good to do when, you know. It's wholesome. It's growing up. It's wholesome. It's growing a child both in morals but also in productivity as a person. But also it's about growing in their relationship with Christ, because it's all about discipline. The disciple and discipline go hand in hand. So when you think of discipleship, you're thinking discipline. You know. So when you think of discipline, yes, indeed, I would like to look at it as wholesome, not just about morals and character.
Wow, I really appreciate that. And when you bring this aspect of, when you think about discipling, think about discipline. So I really love that. Yeah, mother in the house. When we talk about this, what really rings the bell?
When you talk about discipline, and I think in this generation somehow we are dodging the discipline part of it. We want to show love, but we want to show love that is not balanced. We want to show what we are calling good love, but good love is for now, and in future we lose the child. Because if you pick from Proverbs 29:17, discipline your children and they will give you peace. I personally love peace. So if we correct them, if we challenge them to walk the Christ-like way, like reading the Bible, being a good child, attending church programs for this age, not to be too much on gadgets, I believe that's part of discipline. And I believe that if parents or if maybe guardians can give children more time at home, taking up to the historical thing, the African culture that's sitting around with children. The fact that my age is different and they're at a younger age, it doesn't mean I can't chat with them. I can chat with them even in issues related to things which are online, and we discuss it. Like yesterday, he was with our son in the bedroom, and we were reflecting on what we discussed at Mile with you, and we were talking about the challenge of the youth in this age, and how do you handle courtship, and what is the danger of this online courtship and things around that. and he was happy to answer those questions. So I believe parenting, even us who preach the gospel, if we take this scripture again to the children, it means we are actually mentoring them. And discipline doesn't mean, to discipline a child doesn't mean you hate that child.
Exactly.
Because if now you're my friend, always I can tell you, hey, this is wrong, Alice, and you can tell Alice this was not right. So I believe we should be open parents, so that we will also produce open children that we can discipline freely. Thank you.
Wow, I really like that. So how do you believe discipline can contribute to the child's spiritual growth? And I'll take it up from you, Uncle Sam.
Again, if we think of discipline as wholesome, so you're raising a child, you're thinking about habits, habits that then shape who he becomes, how he lives. So, but you're also thinking about character, morals. Just don't be a thief, you know, don't pinch people, you know, those things. So just character. But there's also the whole aspect of growing in your faith. I believe that if you're thinking of a wholesome person, you have to think all aspects. And so as a Christian parent, I see my responsibility not just to bring up a good child, not just to bring up a productive child who, you know, excels in academics, who is innovative, who is creative, who is able to make money. Yes, all those are important aspects, but I'm also thinking about a wholesome child is incomplete if their own relationship with the Lord is not an aspect I engage and invest in. So when we think of discipleship, again, when I think of discipleship, I really think of wholesomely bringing up children. There is sometimes there is the notion that discipleship is, you know, the spiritual disciplines, fast, pray, read your Bible. Yes, they are, but those aspects of spiritual disciplines find expression in everyday life situations. And so you can't separate growing the child in their faith from growing them in their other aspects of life. The two must go together. So yes, so discipling a child is wholesome upbringing. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, when I think of discipleship, I think of wholesomeness.
Okay, now thank you. While actually you were sharing, something just came in my mind, and we as parents, we are really training our children to grow a certain way. Maybe you are training your child to develop a certain character. Do not steal, do not do this, be humble, love one another, forgive, stuff like that. But then in some instances, you find the parents are struggling in that same area. So I'd love to pick your mind on that. So what really, is it advice, or what do you say on that?
You see, let me start by making a disclaimer. First, it is to say that they are aspirations, and I think that every parent should aspire to raise their children to be a certain kind of child. And I'm sure that every parent has a certain desire they would want to see in their children.
Exactly.
That's important. I also want to say that I have those aspirations. I pray that my children will be that kind of person. But I tell you the truth, I can't guarantee by myself that those children will become what they are. I'll answer your question, but I want to lay that ground first, that I can't guarantee by myself, by my own efforts, that those children will become what I desire them to do. Why? Because they have all kinds of influences all over the place.
Absolutely.
They'll pick up habits from everyone else who is around them. And so I do not underplay the place of prayer, the place of trusting God with my children, the place of surrendering my children to the Lord, that the Lord himself would deal with them. And it's not to abdicate my responsibility as a parent. I will still insist on certain habits. I will insist on certain disciplines. I will try to study God's word with them. I will try to point them to things that can be helpful in their lives. But I tell you the truth, at the end of the day, I entrust them to the care of God who gave them to me in the first place. For whom? Who really? For whom? What's the correct way to? For whom these children belong? I don't know whether that's the correct way to put it.
Yes.
So it's important for me to say that first. But then, as parents, it's one thing to push a certain direction.
Right.
It's another thing to model that direction.
Exactly.
So one of our biggest challenges is the disconnect between what we are challenging our children to do and to be and who we really are.
Right.
And I can tell you, even if it was you, if somebody told you don't cross that line, but the person telling you don't cross that line is the first to cross it.
Oh yeah,
Crossing the line.
The first to cross it. You will be confused. You'll be thinking, did he mean we shouldn't cross? Was that like for real? Or was that a joke? You know? So we have a challenge, and it's a big challenge to model for children what we would love them to be. Of course, it means that we ourselves need to build certain disciplines. We ourselves need to lead a certain way. But the other thing for me is because we sometimes fail in modeling what we aspire and what we would like our children to be. I think the other challenge we have is to be open and vulnerable even when we fail. Because it's good to share with our children that it is true that I would like you to be this and that because, and I give a good reason for it. I have failed. I have struggled around that area. It does not necessarily mean that it's a good thing. Okay? And you can point to the effects and the bad effects of your own failures. So openness and vulnerability with our children is as important as pushing them and encouraging them to work in a certain direction. Even being open and being vulnerable in areas of failure is modeling for them what should be. So yes, absolutely, it's important for us to model.
Exactly, and I like that you brought up that aspect of modeling. So I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Uncle Sam. And I'll pick it up from you, Auntie Alice. Now we are in a time where maybe you hear parents say, my children, don't beat them, like stuff like that. And you said that you are a teacher, so you find teachers saying, no, we are not supposed to beat this child. We are not supposed to shout. We are not supposed to do this. We are not supposed to do this. Now, as a mother, really, in such a time where you want to instill certain values, I know sometimes you want to really discipline a certain way. So what is your mind in that kind of parenting? Like, don't beat, don't do that, mental health moment, my child will be stressed, will be depressed, stuff like that. Please, let me pick it up from you.
Yes, thank you very much. I just thank God that we are parents, all of us seated here. And one thing I've observed over the years is that I'll take you back to my house. I always tell children, I don't want to walk on water which has poured on the floor. So if water has poured on the floor, then you have to mop it. So if you don't mop that water, it means there's going to be a problem because the house has to be clean. And I like what you've said, that right now parents do not want to touch children because we feel we're going to hurt them. Let me take you back to just an audio clip on WhatsApp that said that a little girl had just painted her nails and she couldn't sit exams and someone was supposed to do for her that exams. So I'm also thinking, as parents in the .com world, we've actually lost it because we are over attending to what we are calling loving our children, but that's the killing love. Let me call it the killing love trend, because the killing love trend will tell us, no, let this child just watch TV, let them not go to church because they'll get tired. Always I tell my children that these days people don't get tired. We used to carry books and go to school and walk to school, but right now we're having children who cannot carry books to go to school, and that's a big problem. And we're having children who cannot cook food. We're having children who can use a needle or something. I always teach my children children learn how to sew, learn how to print. Even my little girl, when I used to print t-shirts and put on the floor and the pictures are all over, she could go and step on a logo that is printed, and I tell her that is wrong because this is money. We should protect what brings us money. So you're talking about how do we help these children to come up. I think we need to challenge parents to keep talking. We need to challenge parents, because I always tell my children, I don't want to enter a room which is not laid. I want a bedroom which is laid. And these days they tell me they are too busy. But I tell them, even though you're too busy, this is my house. So if you want to leave it in a funny way, just first know that this is my house, but it is also your house. So I think we need to challenge children to work, challenge children to be clean, and challenge children that if we don't train you now, you're not going to have another parent. I need to run with you, and I tell them in love, because as I'm training you for the future. And that's why people have always made statements like, if you have other children from other homes who stay in your home, if water has gotten finished from the house and we are mugging from maybe 100 meters from home, I should send my children, send the helper. I should send the helper, send my children, so that there's a balanced system in the home. And I know even sometimes, even my children, sometimes they tell me, you know what, please don't send the other person, because she's not our biological child. Now, when my child tells me that, then I realize they have understood that we need to be one in a family.
Oh, wow.
Can I speak
please.
on that?
Yes, it's okay.
In Proverbs, I think 29:15, there's the whole idea of the rod and reproof as giving wisdom to children. So the rod and reproof point to, for me, the rod could be literal. It's real chiboko. It could be literal, but beyond literal, it's the whole aspect of punishing for wrong. Okay, there must be consequences for wrongdoing. Now, what the consequences are can vary. I think there's a place for 1 or 2 on the bottom. I think there's a place for that.
Not 5.
5 is a bit too much. But also the intensity of the 1 or 2, I think there's a place for that. But I also think that we then have to be careful, because sometimes it becomes abusive. You come in with all your anger, you've been frustrated at work, you argued with your wife, she didn't do, you know these things. You argued, you frustrated at work, you argued with your wife, the traffic was such a mess, then you arrive home, these kids, then you come with all that anger and you unleash on your children. I think there's a place, like I said, there's a place for reproof, there's a place for the rod. It has to be careful, and we have to be careful to know how far has it gone. Has it moved from discipline to abuse?
Sure.
But the point being for me that overall there has got to be ways of consequences for wrongdoing, and those consequences might vary. It does not necessarily have to be the rod. I remember when our children were younger, and I found it funny, but one of the things we used to do if they did something wrong would make them sit on the chair, and we removed the cushion. We just removed the cushion and tell them, you're going to sit on that wood for 3 hours.
What?
And man, they would cry and say, I won't do it again. But it's as simple as, I've removed the cushion, you sit there. You're sitting there, you're not going anywhere, you're sitting there for 3 hours. And they would sit, and it would sink in, because for them that was discipline. That's not necessarily the role, So I think we can be creative in the ways in which we can discipline our children. It does not have to be abusive, but also we don't get to a point where we don't discipline at all, because somehow we think, we are who we are. We were spanked nicely.
I know, seriously.
And we turned out good,
Zapatos.
Yes.
Wow, thank you very much. And I like that you actually said you're Christian parents. So what biblical principles guide your approach of disciplining children?
I don't know. I think a couple of things. Number one, first and foremost, I think that I believe that the first place anybody should experience grace is at home.
Right.
Home is the first place to experience grace. So first and foremost, I have to be clear about I have experienced God's grace. I have seen God forgive me. I have seen God receive me with my messed up as I am.
Oh yes.
And then I must extend that grace.
Right.
The first place to experience grace, to model God's love, first and foremost, I believe, is home. And the number one person responsible for that, I believe, is the father. So first and foremost, there is this,
I like that.
this aspect of we have benefited from God's grace. We must model God's grace. Home is the first place to experience grace. So that's number one. So that means when Paul says in Ephesians, I think it's in chapter 6, when he says, I think he talks to fathers or parents, I think it's fathers, do not exasperate your children. In other words, don't put your children to that place where they feel abused and bruised and they don't feel value. No. Extend grace. Let them experience grace first. And like I said, the first person responsible for modeling that grace is the father.
Wow.
I think the second thing is the Bible consistently talks about the rod. In Proverbs, there are several verses that refer to the rod. And I think that there is both the rod in literal sense, like the chiboko, but there's the rod as symbolic of discipline and reproof, symbolic of punishment for wrongdoing. If one of the responsibilities we have as parents is to discipline our children. Now discipline comes in two ways. You can reward good behavior, and this is a very well-tested psychology principle. You reward good behavior, you punish bad behavior. And in that way you grow the person. So reward good behavior, punish bad behavior. Now how you punish, well, varies. I've just given you two examples. The rod is one, moderation there, but remove that cushion, let the man sit on the wood for 30 minutes, 1 hour, and you will see how they'll feel. In school they used to make us wear the chikuma.
Oh my goodness, the socks. Yes.
For speaking
vernacular.
I never wore that one. Never.
Oh,
that was not practiced in my school. But I hear
how
people
many
talk
did you
about
put?
those things.
Yeah, we used to wear.
I hear people talk about those things, that he's wearing the bond. But it's an ordinary thing, but I tell you the truth, there's a way in which it works on you.
It does.
And it sinks, it helps sink the point within you that, man, this is a bad thing. So what I'm saying is, 1, grace, 2, reward good behavior, 3, punish bad behavior, and all obviously in the environment of love. I think for me those would be. The other one is, and this is a difficult one, because we come from and we've had our share in this one, but the other really is, it's important for the parents to be on the same page, and that's sometimes difficult, to be on the same page on how do we actually discipline. It's easy to agree on how to love, because loving is be with them, buy them gifts, show them care, be present. That's
time.
easy. But in terms of, should I use the rod, should I not? In terms of, there are those who use food for discipline, deny the child food. Should you do that? Should you not? And you can have intense arguments as parents around that. And sometimes we do these arguments in front of the children at the time the discipline is being meted out.
Wow.
I have found myself tempted sometimes but it's important for parents, and I say this to people who are planning to get married, that long before the children come,
Right.
Please sit down and agree on what approaches to take to discipline your children, so that you're not arguing in front of your children when the time to discipline them comes.
Wow, wow. I really, really, really appreciate all this. And before I hand over the mic actually to you and Alice, let me just ask this, Uncle Sam.
Yes.
We are in a generation where we find maybe parents are really, okay, children and mothers are complaining of absentee fathers. And I see really fathers have a big role to play, especially in disciplining, nurturing, and training children. So really, I would love to pick your mind on this, because maybe fathers are actually there doing good things, looking for money and, you know, trying to make a living for their children. But then they're also needed to participate in all this. What's your advice? Or
to be honest, that's a very difficult question. It's a very, very difficult question. It's difficult because, one, for some fathers, the demands to keep the household going make it inevitable that Bambi will be away. For example, if your job demands that you travel, and that travel is every other time, it's difficult to abdicate that responsibility. You have a responsibility, you lead an institution, you have work, the work demands that you travel. And Bambi, that's difficult. And so, and I know many fathers who agonize because they would desire to be at home. They would desire to be that present father. But Bambi, the nature of your assignment just does not allow it.
Wow.
And that makes it difficult. But there are also those parents.
I think we will continue after the break. I'm so sorry. And I like the Bambi. Yeah, please, dear viewer, let's take a short break. The show returns in a bit. I know you don't want to miss anything, but let's take a commercial break. The show returns in a bit.
Thank you.